Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today I'm super excited to introduce to you a buddy of mine, Ryan, who went to the University of Michigan. Anyways, he's a data scientist. Let's just dive right into this interview. So, do you want to just walk through like your background? Because data science is such a hot topic now.
Yep.
I think people want to know like what you did educationally to get to where you're at.
My name is Ryan. Been working at Domino's for over 2 years as a full stack data scientist.
Okay.
I have hands-on experiences with machine learning, building machine learning models, training models, and deploy these models into production-grade services by hosting API based on our own infrastructure and Kubernetes, as well as being responsible for supporting our SIE team to integrate the service into our ecosystem. For instance, I have built and deployed our fraud detection system and at retail dimension services such as load time prediction service, just in time, and so on and so forth. On top of that, I also worked on like using statistics analysis to extract actionable insights for the business and present it to my client partners, such as like I store like the capacity analysis for stores and customer lifetime value analysis.
Okay.
Prior to my work at Domino's, I had a dual master's degrees from the University of Michigan, one being applied economics, the second one being industrial engineering, with very heavy concentration on math and stats, and I pretty much like self-educated like on computer science stuff, and that's how I picked up the coding skills.
Okay. So what has been, if you could pick one topic or one class that you took that was the most helpful?
Okay.
Out of like anything, undergrad, grad, doesn't matter the degree. What would you say is like the most helpful class you've taken?
I would say is math, and there are like a few foundational math classes.
Okay.
You have to pick one. Probably pick the probability. Yeah, that's really like helpful for you to understand the basic like the statistics like problems even. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is the hardest question to answer, at least in my opinion. If you had to redo both undergrad and graduate school, what degrees would you get? Would you get the same degrees, or would you choose something different? What was your undergrad degree in first?
Economics.
Economics, okay.
Things were a little bit different because I did my undergrad back in China. My grades were like good enough for me to choose whatever major I want. If I have to do it again, I probably will still do economics, but I will do a dual major on computer science or math.
Okay.
Yeah, if I have to redo it again.
Okay.
For masters, I don't regret for the like majors I took. I like them very much, and I don't think to be able to do the things you enjoy and to do like whatever you want to do, you don't need like a degree to do that. As long as you have the passion and the basics, like especially math, you are able to do anything you want.
Okay. So language-wise, you mentioned that you've trained yourself to program, which is kind of my similar background.
Yep.
If you had advice for someone new, like a student, what would you tell them for how to learn programming on your own?
It's always like a learning curve, and the learning never stops. To be honest, if I would like to give you some advice and you have zero background or programming, and it would be super helpful if you can take some basic C++ class, which I had actually from U of M, which is like very, very instructive and is very, very like foundational, essential for you, like, help you towards like understanding like a lot of things, regardless of what languages, which is helpful.
Are you using C++ at work?
Not really.
No.
Yeah, unless you're a soft developer, you have to use C++. But our companies, our developers, they use Java.
Okay.
But right now, I can understand any language. Yeah.
Okay.
It's more of like a proficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you really get into one language and you keep using it, you will be an expert.
Okay.
One thing I'm pretty sure, say if you stop using it, then probably 10 years later you will still like lose the proficiency. But still, that doesn't mean you are not able to pick it up, right? That's the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be the same advice I would give.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people, go learn C++. And then everyone goes, but no one uses it, like in our industry, like in data science or like in quantitative finance. But I think you're right, it builds like all the basic skills and like the foundation.
Yep.
And I think once you can program in C++, then it's easy to go into like Python or R or Java or something different.
It's like an analogy, like, right? You don't directly use math on business, but is so foundational that once you have that thing like in your brain, you are always like able to process any information, help you to learn anything. That's like very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys use multiple languages at work, or do you have like a main language?
When I started, like when I joined Domino's as an intern, I was pretty much like using R, and my work was more doing statistics, like regression to extract like actionable insights, and it was mainly like using R. And
Okay.
as I started like as a full time, when I jumped into our like production like delivery like based team, everybody uses Python, and because Python is more meant for like production, it's more like reliable, like in speaking of the reliability, scalability, like a lot of that stuff, and I just converted myself into Python. It's super simple, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the more you use it, the more like proficient with it, yeah.
Yeah. So you'd say Python's definitely easier to learn though than R?
I think so. The learning curve is, yeah.
I'd agree.
Mm-hmm.
R is just so much different because I think Python functions more like C++ and more like a procedural language or kind of an object
Computer science
oriented.
language family is,
Yeah, where it's like when you switch to R, for me it always took a lot longer because it does everything by vectors.
Yep.
And then sometimes what you think it's going to do, it doesn't do it.
It doesn't work that way,
Yeah.
It's kind of like wonky sometimes, yeah.
It's the odd language out.
Yeah, and R has a very, very low reliability and reproducibility. Say if you have like a batch of like R code,
Uh-huh.
it might run well in your local environment, but if I try to replicate your code, in a new environment, it might break it for whatever reason it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had that problem as well?
Yeah.
I have that problem, but going between I do something at work, and then I try to replicate the same thing at home with like not work data, and it doesn't work, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, that's the problem of R. Yeah, that's why R is not meant for production.
Okay.
There might be some few cases where a company is still using R for production, but there's got to be a way where probably they would like rewrite the code, the R code using like C# or something, and there's got to be like something extra. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. So let's going back to data science a little bit.
Yep.
If you had to have only one book, so you could buy just one book, what book would you buy? I don't know if you know it off the top of your head. But
Yeah, there is a very good book that I would like to recommend. It's called like Statistical Learning.
Okay.
Called like ISLA. I kind of forgot the name.
Yeah, let's look it up. We can look it up.
Yeah, Statistical Learning. Yeah, I forgot the full name, but if I saw the cover like name, I think I'm pretty sure.
Statistical learning.
Yep. Yeah, the first one I think.
The first one? Elements of statistical learning?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's open this up. Okay, so the elements of statistical learning, data mining, inference, and prediction.
Yep.
Okay, it's by Trevor or whatever. I can put a link below, but so what did you like about the book? Like what made it such a your favorite book?
The book has very decent coverage on variety as well as on on depth.
Okay.
Yep. I think it's not very hard to understand, and it gives like a lot of example code. If you don't understand, just run the R code. You will be able to understand everything. Yeah.
Okay. And so going into a little bit of data science, a little bit of work, what has been your favorite project that you've done at work?
Favorite project?
That's a tough one too, I know.
Yeah. I would say people might have different answers for this, right? Because my situation is I jumped from a like insight extracting team to like a model deployment production based team.
So kind of instead of doing like the research part,
Yeah.
you're doing more of like the actual implementation.
Yeah, I give
part.
like deploy stuff, and like it's more like it's very very accuracy result like oriented.
Okay.
And people just only care about like how much like work you like how fast you get things deployed and how big the like how good the quality is of the model.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I would say the project I like most is the at retail dimension, like a bunch of like services I built. There's a like load time prediction service, driver return time prediction service, as well as smart doubles and just in time.
Okay.
Yeah, basically what it does is we want to help our 6,000 domestic stores to make better decisions like operational wise.
Okay.
So we want things like, for example, if you have a store, especially during rush hour, right? The store might not be good at like handling the orders. Like chances are the orders might be dropped to the make line either too early or too late. And there are two scenarios: either the drivers when the driver comes back, either the driver has to wait for the pizza because it's not ready, or the opposite, or the pizza have to wait for the driver, and then in that situation the pizza will be sitting on the rack for too long.
Yeah.
And then on both scenarios, the overall quality of the delivery service or the pizza quality will just suck, and it's hurting our customer user experiences. We want to deploy a bunch of services so that things happen just in time. Whenever the order is ready, the driver just get back to the store so he can he will be assigned a route, and then take the order, like whatever he needs to take, and then get out dispatch, and then that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, when the customer receive the order, is correct and fresh, and everything happened just in time. That's the high level business strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is like the most common, I guess, data science technique or like method that you use at work? Like, is it something as super complex as like a neural network and like deep networks, or is it like you use more commonly like decision trees or like different types of processes?
I would say it depends on what project and what problems you're trying to solve. If your goal is to extract insights, do a bunch of like analysis, I wouldn't go like with a fancy deep learning model, because your goal is not to build like an accurate model. Your goal is to make things explainable to your clients, make them understand what are you trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So in such case, decision tree is a very good like model. I would suggest, and even just like do a like GLM, generalized linear models, just do some basic regression.
Okay.
It is very, very classical, and it's very super useful to help to explain things to your clients, which is like rule number one, communication part.
Yeah.
And whenever you're trying to deliver and trying to deploy something in real time, say at transactional level, you want things to be more accurate and less. You will still like care about like some explanation, but you don't care that much. Say you want to deploy a fraud detection. I want my model to be as accurate as possible on catching fraud, but also as accurate as like killing good transactions. I don't want to kill any. I don't want to risk my losing my transactions.
Right.
So there are like different perspectives, and you need to think about like what problem you're trying to solve.
Okay, I gotcha. That makes sense. So you worked with neural networks, right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about like the testing and research that goes in behind like fitting the network and things you've looked at to see like it's an optimal network? Like I know in the past you talked about kind of the cool concept of like growing it.
Yeah.
Like how did you find academic papers? Like what? Can you just talk a little bit more about like that?
Yeah, there are a lot of research papers like surrounding the DNN, deep neural network architecture.
Okay.
I would say before you even do it, there's a very good class on Coursera taught by Andrew Ng.
Yeah, he's super famous.
It's like super helpful.
Okay.
I would say it is very important to understand how the basic math works and how the forward propagation, especially the backward propagation works. Like how the activation function, how the weights are getting adjusted. Based on the optimizer. All these things are very, very basic and essential. Without knowing this, you will probably like get lost when you try to tune the models.
Okay.
Yep.
I gotcha. You want to talk about like work demographics? So this is something I found is kind of interesting. In my job, and I've found other people similar, when I go from company to company, most people are not American because it's too much math.
Yep. Very. Yep.
And then when I go and look at different jobs, I'm usually the youngest person there, which is really weird. So like a lot of teams I'm on, my colleagues are like their 50s, 40s and 50s. And then I've talked to somebody else who worked, I think, at Barclays, and he said the same thing. He goes, I started this job, I'm like 25 years old or whatever, 26. And he's like, and everybody is probably between like 45 and 55.
Wow.
So in Domino's, have you seen like similar demographics in the industry, or is it more like a nice even distribution of like you have younger guys coming in, middle age and then older?
I think the age distribution and the background probably also varies a lot, from company to company.
Okay.
And it's probably like also depends on what industry it is, right? Probably quant finance. Finance is probably different than like at retail companies. At Domino's, at my department, we have about like 40 people. I would say the age is evenly distributed.
Okay.
We have like young professionals, like people around 25. Also people who just came out of school, like fresh, 22, 23.
Wow.
There are also people like who
undergrads. So like undergrad students coming in?
Yeah, who just like got their bachelor's and join us. Yeah.
Are they? What's their education typically? Is it like
typically
data science?
Computer science or math?
Okay, computer science or math.
Yeah,
okay.
or statistics. Yeah.
Have you guys hired anyone with an actual data science degree?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we've looked at it in finance, and it's really controversial. Because we want to do data science, so we want to hire someone that's experienced, but then we find out there's not enough rigor.
Oh.
So it's easier to hire like a math student or like a stats student or like industrial engineering or something, and then we can utilize them to do their own research and learn it.
Gotcha.
Versus like we get people to interview in data science and they know all like the fun buzzwords and they can like click and run things in the program.
Yep.
But they can never like do the math or like the research behind
I got you.
the technical skills.
Yeah. I would say probably due to the popularity of data science, a lot of the degrees in university, they started like opening that degree.
Yeah.
That's probably the reason why I've not seen a lot of people who join Domino's with a degree in data science. But I do have a lot of colleagues, like team members, who joined Domino's first with a psychology or like non-data science related major, but they did very well and they like kept learning and they like did an online data science degree, master's degree that works. That helps them to get promotion as well.
Okay. And how many? So you mentioned there's people in undergrad, people in masters, and people with PhDs. Are they like evenly split, or specific roles usually more PhD versus like undergrad?
Yeah, I would say for the business analysis, I haven't seen a PhD yet.
Okay.
Most people like had a bachelor's degree and they're like very successful career life, and in the retail, like really like a lot of production, like especially research oriented projects, we have like five or six PhDs who had a hands-on degree with like in computer science.
Okay, and that's on the research side.
The research side, yeah.
Okay, so it's similar to quantitative finance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So if you had to give advice to someone that's coming up, so I'll go back to like the student side.
Yep.
If you're coming up and they're going to get an undergraduate degree, what would you recommend for an undergrad degree? For data science.
For data science.
Yeah.
If I have to prioritize things, I would do math first.
Okay.
Then I would probably do another degree, like have a minor or stuff like that in either stats or computer science.
Okay.
That's how I would do.
Would you do the same going up for a master's? Like after you got, say, a math undergrad?
I probably not. I would probably choose one of the major which really interests me, and then, but still I would not to want to lose the math part. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What advice would you give them career-wise on like how to find a job?
Man, that's very tough. It is very tough.
That is a hard question.
When I was back in school, it was like so frustrating to keep getting rejected by interviews, or even was not able to get an interview at first. And then it just like, as you continue to, trying to find a job, start reaching out to people, build your networks, it will work.
Okay.
Just trust yourself. Don't be beaten by the failures. Yeah, success will always, they always stem from the failures. Just keep doing.
And what did you do to build your network?
LinkedIn, reach out to Dimitri through YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the LinkedIn is really helpful.
I think it's helpful. Yeah.
Did you do any like informational interviews? So
I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay. And those are helpful.
Yep. And also keep applying. I would say keep applying both on LinkedIn and also online. Say Glassdoor. Use whatever platform is provided by school. That also helps.
Okay, that's a good idea. I think one of the big pieces of the channel that a lot of people want to know is like they're all. So I think this is odd. My channel started off as mainly graduate students.
Okay.
And now my undergraduate population is booming. So now I'm like trying to cater towards how do you give them advice for undergrad? Because I feel like for me it's like my undergrad is just finance, which is kind of a waste. I wish I would have done like math or something. And then doing in the graduate one. But I think advice-wise, it's hard to give advice to undergrad, especially now with all the data science undergrads, because it's like we don't really know how rigorous they are.
Yep.
So I definitely think if I was to do it again, I think I would agree with you that I think math or like statistics would be like a better choice.
Yep.
Because you learn hard skills that are hard to pick up.
Yep.
Whereas picking up like the softer skills, like the business side, is a lot easier.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Because even like I was trying to explain today in my presentation, it was like trying to explain to people that it's important to learn both the hard skills and the soft skills. And I think sometimes people spend too much time on one side or the other. So then it's like you're so like segmented into like a nerd.
Well, yeah.
Like no one wants to have you do any promotions or anything.
Yeah.
Or you're so businessy that it's like you can't understand what's going on the technical side.
I would say within corporations, within companies, it is always like very extremely valuable to have a very good communication skills, no matter how technical you are. If you are only good at techniques, you are never going to be a leader.
Yeah.
Because the society is, like made up by people. You have to manage people, and being able to manage people means you have to have a very good managing skills, which is communication and like handling people. That's like very, very important. So I would say, keep when you're in school, make the way to make like most out of the school is by trying to learn as much as possible on the knowledge base, especially on math, stats. But don't forget the fact that you also need to continue to grow on the communication part.
Yeah, I'd agree. So what advice would you give someone from another country? So in your case, China. What would you give somebody like in China that wants to come to the US? Would you recommend they come for education and try to go through the visa process? I know a lot of people have been talking about how difficult it is, by going through the lottery and all that for like your H1? You're an H1?
H1B, yeah.
H1B, yeah.
I think, overall speaking, it is worth it to come all the way from China to America to pursue a degree, to learn the knowledge, to experience like that huge diversity of culture. It is very worth it. I would say don't stay within your comfort zone. Don't only stay within the Chinese group or Indian group or whatever you are from, but try to connect as much as possible and learn as much as possible. That is very, very valuable, super valuable to your like personal life and also career later on.
Okay. Yeah, so diversity plays a big part in success and getting ahead.
Yep.
Do you plan on staying in the U.S. like long term? Because I know some of the Chinese students and like the Indian stuff, for example, they come here, they get like a lot of experience in one area, and then they typically go back. Or like, are your plans to stay longer into the U.S.? Or undecided?
Yeah. At my current situation, I plan to stay longer. Yeah. When I just came to USA, I didn't know where I was going to be and who I wanted to be. But right now, as my career gets more clear and I know what I wanted to achieve and who I want to be, I really want to learn more and grow my career more here, at least here for 5 to 10 years at the USA. Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give to kind of like learning who you are? Because I know I've struggled with that as well, like starting from a finance background and then realizing I don't know any actual skills to do anything, and then going into the quantitative side, it's been a struggle trying to figure out what things have helped you through that process.
First of all, try to get a job. Yeah, right.
Good advice,
without a job, without hands-on, dirty experience, and just only thinking about things will never get you a real experience. By having experience on many different things, you will slowly, gradually get to know what you really want eventually.
Okay.
It might take 1 year, it might take 2 years. Different people take different time, but eventually, within time, you will be there. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. So did you originally want to do data science when you were in grad school, or is that just an option?
I never thought about this. Yeah, I never thought about this.
It wasn't a career then, right?
Yeah. It just turns out this is the trend. You can't be the trend, yeah. And even it's not about data science. It's about the whole world. I view this as a new revolution.
Okay.
On industry because nowadays everything is supported, is backed by data. Everything is digitalized, right? You can't talk about stuff without knowing data, without showing data. It's just not objective. Things have changed. World has changed.
Right.
I'm pretty sure before the job of analyst was more human brain making decisions. Right now it's all based on data, based on machine algorithms. That's how things progress right now.
Yeah. Where do you see it going? If you had to predict the future, do you think AI and data science will take over completely, or do you think it'll be more of in harmony, where it's kind of another tool alongside traditional statistics and analytics?
I would say both will still continue to exist.
Okay.
At least in the next 10 to 30 years. First of all, AI will not control human beings.
Okay.
It's not realistic because I think there's got to be a huge breakthrough in the theory in academia on the deep learning, because everything right now is all taught by human. You feed the data and then you do things you wanted to do.
It learns one specific thing.
Yeah,
right. It's not
based on
its own.
Based on the data. Still, yeah. There might be some relative creation, but it's still very, very low level still.
Okay.
And whenever a new technology comes up, people are always needed to get to able to leverage, use that technology. That's the purpose of having technology. I feel. So don't get scared of new technology. They're going to replace human beings. No, that's not going to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Instead, embrace the changes. Embrace the technology and try to learn as much as possible. Keep learning, and also enjoy your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had kind of a similar perspective because I see some people that are so excited
Mm-hmm.
and they're so hyped on data science is going to like fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like, I don't know, they think it's going to like you're saying, right? It's going to like think and do all this stuff and take over the world. But the way at least I look at it from the stuff we've used, is it's more or less like a complementary thing of like, there's all these cool new tools, but a lot of times it doesn't do very well at solving old problems. So a lot of times we find like problems we thought weren't solvable in the past. And now all like image recognition, right?
Yep.
It wasn't really feasible 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like we're so involved with it and the tools are so freely available
Yeah.
that we're able to like adapt a lot faster and do new things that are cooler.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there are like many industries, like many fields where there's a huge hunger and need for AI. Definitely, they are really good at like solving some special like problems. But still, there are like a huge area as well where some of the traditional even basic analysis are very needed. Even say for example, as a Domino's, we are probably like the technology leader in the we do our own delivery business, right? Still, after we deploy so many technologies, our sales like is growing, but it's still like you can think of in this way. If the business is not doing well, even with more technology, if the customers are not buying your pizza, there's got to be some different problem which is not solvable by just blindly relying on technologies. There's got to be some different issues you have to like figure out.
Right.
So I would say both things will continue to exist, and you have to like leverage and balance things. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we see too. Because I see people that think they're going to learn one thing only, and then like it never like it's like hard to explain to them. You have to be diverse and be able to understand statistics and math, like you've been like emphasizing, but also then learning like new tools and techniques and kind of blending it all together as one framework.
I always think as long as the current society, the way how it is structured, as long as this structure remains, communication and people skills and the basic like it will always exist, and there's the need is always there. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I think that's the hardest part too for people like ourselves. It's like you're so analytical. A lot of times people in like the industry and like especially students, they like neglect the communication side.
Yep.
And then by the time you get into the industry, it's hard to realize like I'm really smart in one area, but it's like you need to like balance out the communication and other aspects.
And I recently I like more and more often like kind of like come to realization that most of the successful like young leaders, the reason why they're able to be like so successful, say when they like 35, they're like VPs, like C class level people, is they worked so hard learning technologies. They're like very good, but later on they were able to transition themselves from being technical to like a perfect leaders. In the meantime, they're able to understand everything, and they have like so good at like managing people, but they're also like they're able to know the low level stuff, so they know how, as a company, they know how things operate, and also they know how to use people properly. That's like successful leader.
Yeah, I think it's hard to leverage people, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to learn like everyone's like abilities and skills. And one of the things I was presenting today, a presentation to some students, was talking about that like, for me at least, networking is more like marketing and branding. Because I always view it as like it's hard to define networking because people assume it's like, oh, we're friends, so that's how it works. But I think the way I view it now is that it's more like you started a company and people know that you can do like one or two things. So they assign you one or two things to do. And then it's like when you're there and you can like showcase like your skills and your abilities, then people realize like, oh, you have all these other abilities. And so it's like when you network, then it's like as managers see like fit that I need someone to do a new task and you've showed interest in it or like you have the ability to do it, then that's kind of how like you work your way up like the networking ladder and like the job ladder. Is you kind of like market yourself and become like better known and advance your skills.
I'm pretty sure when you climb up on that like career ladders, among each step, among each level, you will see different things and differently.
Okay, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. I think even now, so I've only been in here 5 years, I see things very differently now, 5 years in, than when I started. A lot of things that I thought were unfair or didn't make a lot of sense as like a junior sense. Now it's like, well, I don't know how else I would do it because there's no other logical way to do this. Like hiring and stuff and promotions are all based on that.
That's how things work. First of all, you don't understand, and then you understand, then you understand differently. Then you truly understand, right? That means you're growing. Yeah.
So what do you think the next like hot job area is? If you're going to do data science, would you say it's in finance? Was it in corporations? Is it in technology? Or is technology kind of filled already and there's more opportunity in other areas?
I think technology is going to continuously like grow.
Okay.
But I think the demand will probably like stop at some point of time where the supply will always be there.
Yeah.
And then I think over the next 5 to 10 years, the job needs on the data science will still be there, but it might get more and more competitive. And on the like quant or finance and other areas, I think it will just be probably still not dying, but they will still be there because things need to be done by people. And
Yeah, I see the same trend. Like when I started in 2010, when I was looking back at a lot of this as before students, I saw like this huge opportunity for quantitative finance.
Yep.
And now looking back, only like 5-6 years later, it's like it's flattened. Like there's this huge demand. We had like market crash before it, and it was still kind of like maybe slowing down a little bit, but it's still going up. And now I see like the market's at its maturity. Markets have like risen for so long that it's like the demand for quant finance is like flat.
Yeah. And probably right now within that quant finance world, there's another like consistent need for like high frequency trading and like quantitative researchers. Like a lot of hedge fund, they like spend so much money hiring, like those people who are so damn good about like math, computer science. Is that will still be there as long as these hedge funds they don't like go bankrupt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
So would you say it's better off to specialize in one thing than it is to be like, I guess, a jack of all trades, where you know a little bit of everything but not enough of anything?
I think at the initial stage, to help you to get a job, you gotta be at least good at one thing, but still with like, some skill sets, basic skill sets like on other things as well.
Okay.
Once you get a job, and as you continuously trying to figure out what you want to do, and you should be able to figure out like the rest.
Okay, so basically you start with one thing, get really good at it,
I think
and
so.
then kind of grow into interesting topics that interest you career-wise as you go.
All you need is passion and figure out what you want.
Okay.
Yeah, and give some hard work. You'll be there.
Yeah, that's good advice. Do you have any last words on the interview here of advice to those who are your students or people that are just starting their careers?
Yeah, cracking interviews is difficult. And it will continue to be difficult no matter like where you are and like how old you are. The nervousness will always be there. It's just like, and probably I would stop thinking about it more, but like try to do it more. Okay. The more you fail, that means the more you learn. The more you will like, the better you will be good at it.
Yeah, I had a similar experience where it was like, when I graduated, I was too, I guess, embarrassed or like too shy, even being like an American, like English speaker.
Yep.
That it's like I wouldn't go to the free online campus resources where they had like some random person who has no understanding like what math and stats is.
Yeah.
But they would do like a mock interview, and I was always like, oh, that's too much. I'll be too embarrassed. I don't want them to do that.
Yeah.
But then it's like, then I failed so many interviews back to back to back that at the end, I'm looking back, like I was so dumb. Like I should have just spent the time practice interviews with people that don't matter and have them give you feedback.
Yep.
And then you could have grown for it. But I think that was probably my biggest success point is just failing so many times.
Yeah.
Like you said, right? You just start kind of giving up of like, I don't really care anymore. I just want a job, so I'm just going to call and then do my best, but like not worry about the intricate details of it.
That's why I still believe like as a beginner in Korea, the most valuable thing is just keep trying. The most valuable are the failures actually, because there is no cost behind it, right?
Yeah.
Especially like when you become leader, then you can't risk like taking it's a different story. But as a starter, as a beginner, just keep trying. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
It's better advice than I can give.
Yeah.
But
and you are taking information, you're learning from other people. You should pay, but it doesn't cost you anything extra to
try.
To try. Yeah.
Make an attempt at it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good advice. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the channel.
Yeah, thank you. It's very nice and informative to talk with you.
Yeah.
And feels so good to like reconnect with you, after being so long.